Welcome to Daniel Reviews. I'm Daniel Goodwin. Today we are looking at the Aqara smart lock, the U100. Let's get into it. About 5 years ago, I had purchased my first smart lock. It was in August. I don't remember the exact model number. I'll show you a video of it or a link to it. And honestly, it's worked fantastic over the last 5 years. It's worked great. But it was mostly Bluetooth based, so tied to your phone. If you didn't have your phone on you, you still had to use the key. And also the Bluetooth only worked when you were pretty close proximity to the door. So if I pulled into the driveway and the kids ran in, were running in, it wouldn't unlock for them. And I had to actually get up closer to the lock to get it to unlock for them. So with that in mind, smart locks have definitely moved forward over the past 5 years. There's a lot of cool features. This one looks to have the ones I was interested in, so I'm very keen to dig into them and see how well they work. Ooh. So here's what you get in the box. You get the the back end of the unit, which will obviously have your lock and unlock on here, and then you have the front piece that you're going to attach on the outside of your door. It has a keypad on it, has a fingerprint sensor, and it should also be Apple Key compatible. So very keen to see that one and see how that works. This is very heavy. It got a lot of weight to it. You got your manual here, which I'll dig into. They've got a cut guide, so if you are installing this on the door that doesn't have a deadbolt on it already, this would help you to make that cut with a proper hole bit. But mine should already be in the case, or should already be there, and I'm just hoping it's the right dimensions and whatnot. You've got your internal pieces that you'll slide into the door, and then let's see if we can pull all of this out. You give you a pair of batteries, pair of keys, and look, I'm pretty sure this is the striker plate. Try to open this up here. All right, let's see how hard this is to install. Boom, and just like that, it's installed. No, actually, I forgot to record when I installed this, so I'm gonna have to kind of like back into it. We just had an equipment malfunction, so we'll just try to cover that here. A few things I'll show you. You just can pull this back cover off. You can replace the batteries here. Just standard AA, so according to the manual, you're supposed to get about 8 months of life. Your mileage may vary. For this step, they give you this handy tool. If you can't find it or don't have it handy, you can use a screwdriver, and that's what a flathead. Whoops, that's what I used the first time. There we go. There we go. This comes right off. So that's not too hard. It just slides right on and snaps on. This, by the way, this is plastic. It's not actual metal. So a little less good. Same thing with this cover as well. It's also plastic. However, the frame, I was going to say the frame is metal, but I actually think it's plastic as well. I think there are metal pieces on it, but this whole housing is pretty much all plastic. For this next step, you're going to need a pretty small screwdriver. There's two very tiny screws in there. I was a little surprised at that when I was installing this. I'm like, wow, I can't believe they used such tiny screws. And it's definitely a negative. I would not recommend it because it's so difficult to get in there and make sure that you're getting them right and tightening them up. So I would have preferred a much beefier screw here than these tiny ones. And it's actually hard to even get them out, because even though I'm loosening them up, unless you have a magnetic bit, the screws themselves don't want to come out. Okay, I think I got them all the way out. Okay, yes, I did. Oh, and there they go. So just really tiny. Jeez. Anyway, there we go. All right. Super tiny screws, so don't love that. That's less than good. All right, this is the back plate. It's pretty easy. You just line it up through the insert. The only thing you want to make sure is that the indent here is inside the hole for the door, for the deadbolt. If you flip it the other way, it definitely will not line up and it will not work. Then you got 2 long bolts. In the package, they provide 2 sets. For my door, it was a little bit thicker. I had to use the longer bolts instead of the shorter ones. All right, so we're just going to loosen these up. So these come out, the plate comes out, and you can see just how it sits in there. Just goes right in through this piece here. Just resume. So at this point, everything is loose. You can see this slides out. I'm not going to take it all the way out just because it's kind of, it's not a pain, but it's not like the easiest thing in the world to do. So I'm just going to put that there. Well, you know what? No, I'll do this right. So you just unclip this here. It's just I think like a 6-pin connector probably. And now we can slide this out completely. So here's the piece. So you would just feed this through. There's a little slot, you can't miss it. It goes right in through there. And then you're going to feed the cable underneath this part. And this was the next step, if we're doing this all in reverse. And then you can pop this out. So here's the piece. The only thing you really need to know about this is it is adjustable. So if, let's see, you can, if you have a narrower entrance on the door and you don't need it to stick in, you don't need it to stick in quite so far, you can adjust that. So in my case, the shorter configuration was not long enough, so I did just have to, was it like this? Well, twist it so that it opened up, and then you do have on here at the top, so you know which way it should go. Put that back in. Great. Part here is the most difficult part of the whole thing, because if you don't have this aligned right, and you can see it even looks weird the way I've got it kind of crooked. However, just the way my door closes, the way that deadbolt comes in, this is the way it has to be. Getting this jam or this well cleared out deep enough that the deadbolt goes in there without any obstruction is the most difficult part. I would recommend getting some wood chisels if you need to clear that out a little bit. I didn't have any wood chisels and I had to use a flathead screwdriver, so not the best job in the world. So now we're just going to put everything back together because we took it all apart. So we'll get to work on that now. We'll start with putting this through. Hang on. So we're going to feed the cable underneath and the metal slot right through there. Perfect. Just like that. And then we're going to take this piece here. I've already got the screws there. I'm just going to go ahead and line them through the... Wait a second. Make sure I do it the right side up. It does say top on the plate. So I had it upside down there because I wasn't looking at it. I was looking at the camera. Just line those up. Screw them in. So it's nice and snug. You don't want to overdo it. All right, that's pretty good. Great. Now we're going to take this other half right here. This little flap pulls down and you plug in the cable. It'll probably bark at you a little bit. You're going to slide this back in there, and then you just make sure that you slide this onto that so it sits in good like that. I'm just going to close that for a second. And now it's time to put the tiny little screws back in the, sorry, just this. I'm not great at doing my camera angles here. I'm going to put these tiny little screws back in there so that it snugs up on the plate. First we're going to try. Whoops, these are so tiny. I hate this part. This is definitely the worst part of the whole thing. There we go. And also you just don't know if it's like truly screwing in on the plate very well. So again, bad design decision. I don't love this. I would not, I would definitely recommend they redo this with some much bigger screws. There's no reason they need to be this tiny. And in fact, they're probably less secure than they could be. Yeah, I don't have a hard time knowing if I got that in there. I also worry that I might strip these screws. So don't love that at all. Okay, but now that's working. You can manually turn it. Don't have too much. It doesn't look like it has too much of a problem. So that's great. To now pair it with the app, you're going to download the app. I'll show that in a second, but then you would hit the set on there. It walks you through step by step. It's really, really simple, so I love that. Let's go ahead and put this on there. It just snaps right on. And we can put this right on. Seems to be working good. Let's take a look at the app. Looks good. Looks like it's connected. Cool. Okay, here's the app. You can see I've already set up my door lock, it was really pretty simple. I will say the one thing that threw me is that they consider this to be an accessory, which is kind of weird. I don't think of accessories. I think of like a trim for the smart lock as an accessory. I don't think of the smart lock itself as an accessory, but clearly they do. So you can just click plus, then hit add accessory. They have several different things that they do, but you go down to smart door lock and you can see over here on the right the smart lock U100. It shows you what it looks like. Yeah, that's my thing. Very cool. They have this installation guide which works really well. They give you step-by-step videos of the installation process, so it's very easy to walk through this, even simpler than probably I made it look like. They got some great videos on that. So that's really easy. Then it pairs via Bluetooth, which is great. And let's just go into the profile. Oh no, that's my settings. Let's not go there just yet. Let me go here. This is what I want. Cool. So you can see the logs. You can see when it was unlocked, how it was unlocked, different things like that. If a passcode was entered, if a thumbprint. See, I unlocked it here with a fingerprint. So pretty cool stuff. You can filter it by unlocks or by alerts. When I first was installing it, I had real problems with that door jamb. It was too snug, and some of the interior was catching on the latch, so that I get this warning. I did clean that up, and now it works great. But you can add a one-time password, so maybe somebody's coming to drop off food or whatever. You can just add a one-time password that you can give them, which is really cool. And then you can have users, of course. So I've got my whole family in here. But the cool thing is you can add different fingerprints all for you. I started off with my right index finger, and then I realized, actually, what if I don't remember which hand I use? I put in my left index finger, then I put in my right thumb, and then I'll probably add my left thumb at this rate. But anyway, it's cool that you have that. And then also you have a password as well that you can do with an actual numeric code, which is pretty cool. And it's really simple to manage, which is great. You can have some auto locking things. This is pretty cool. This is what I used a lot on my August smart lock. So I'm going to turn this on. Okay, yeah, got it. Not locked. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, lock them in, let's see, whole day. Yeah, that's cool. In order to work with Google, Alexa, Apple Home, or whatever, I do think you need the home kit, so we won't mess with that. But I will turn that on. You've got some failed attempt lockouts and things that you can set. I'm not going to change that. I mean, it seems pretty reasonable. You got your remote unlock. Of course, we've got the auto locking on, which is good. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but I'll play around with that some more. Bottom line is, it's got a whole host of options. You can really geek out on this. So pretty cool stuff. One last thing I want to show is that if for some reason the battery should go out and it's not responsive, you do have the option of this, just sliding this down, and you have a key that comes with the lock itself that you can use for manually turning the deadbolt. So that's nice that you'll never get locked out just because of a battery problem, or maybe for some reason it's not working with your code or whatever. Sorry. There you go. Okay, and that's the installation. So apologies for having to do the installation in reverse. I wish I would have been recording the first time I put it in. Would have made a little more sense, but it's honestly a very simple lock to install on an existing deadbolt. If you don't already have a deadbolt, then it's going to be a little bit more complicated, simply because you'll need to get a deadlock or a door knob hole set from Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, wherever. Drill it in yourself. So not impossible by any means, but just a little more work. The most difficult part by far was the well where the deadbolt goes in. My existing one was shaped for a slightly different deadbolt. Worked fine with that, but when I put this one in, it didn't line up just right, so I had to tweak it. I had to chisel out some of the wood inside. Like, I'm a big believer of using the right tool for the right job. Well, the right tool would have been to have a wood chisel to do that chipping, but I didn't have one, and I didn't go to the store. I just used my poor, battered flathead screwdriver to chip some of that out. And it worked, and it works very well now, but that was probably the most frustrating part of the whole install. Okay, so what are my thoughts? I think it's a fantastic home lock. It's very easy to install if you've already got a deadbolt. It's not impossible to install if you don't have one. It's just going to be a little bit more work. The most difficult part, as I mentioned, was making sure that my well for the deadbolt was, you know, aligned well as best it could, and what was needed for my door, which was a little bit of frustration, but it worked. The very cool things are, of course, the fingerprint scanner. That's so nice. I was able to add all my family. We each got our fingers or multiple fingers in there. That's really cool. Then we also have a code if we need to get in, which is very nice. Being able to provide a one-time password to a guest, or you know, creating something, and then you can remove it. That's all very, very nice. The one thing that you know, I mentioned is that you can't use the Apple key with your phone and your watch unless you get the home kit. I didn't realize that when I purchased the lock. Honestly, I saw that it touted Apple home key, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. That was kind of like the clincher for me on this particular model. But now that I have it and I've used some of the other things, I'm like, I'm not sure I need that. So I probably won't go with a home kit, but you certainly can, which would then allow you to do things like, you know, control your front door with your voice commands to like Alexa or to Siri. You could be like, hey, Alexa, unlock the front door, or lock the front door, and it would, which is kind of cool without having to fish out your phone. Other than that, it's great lock. Some quibbles. I really hated the use of those tiny little screws to hold on the back unit to the plate on the door. That didn't feel very good at all. So I didn't like that. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, and it just seems to work so far. We'll continue to use it over the next, you know, well, I'm not planning on replacing it, so several years we'll probably have that on there, and I'll certainly update if there's any problems I run into. That's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.